Welcome to the Fright Lab. I'm Lucas Yoakum. It is the 24th entry of our 2025 31 Days of Halloween, 31 Days of Horror, 31 for 31 challenge. And tonight, we've got to do it. We have to cover this one. 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. I know for a lot of people, it is simply not Halloween until they've seen this movie. It's just not there, right? And I am not a person who says, oh, you have to watch this movie on October 31st. I'm not that pedantic. Not most of the time anyway. But I think that John Carpenter's Halloween might be one of the greatest horror films ever made. Is it the greatest? I'm not convinced of that necessarily. But I think it is one of the best. And I'm going to go on a limb and guess that 100% of my audience has seen John Carpenter's Halloween. But in case you somehow haven't, here is the rough plot very quickly. A long time ago, there was a little boy named Michael Myers who one Halloween night decided to stab his sister to death. He's sent away to a mental hospital and has languished there for like 19 years or something. Fast forward, it's time for him to be transferred from one state hospital to a next, and his maybe a little overreactive, but definitely not too overreactive doctor, Dr. Loomis, is required to transfer him. Michael escapes and heads back to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois, where he's going to do what serial killers on Halloween are supposed to do best. Absolutely just wreak havoc. And it's going to take one smart young woman to maybe, just maybe, stop him. Okay, so cool. That's the setup for every slasher movie, basically, because in a lot of ways, Halloween absolutely codified what we think about when we talk about slashers in horror and kind of horror generally. Like Michael Myers is on the Mount Rushmore of horror films, right? Now, there's no point in me sitting here and telling you how good this movie is. I'm not going to do that. But I think that this is one of those movies that's actually shockingly philosophically loaded. And I want to take just a couple of minutes to talk about some themes that I find in Halloween. And not just that I find them in Halloween, but that they're very well expressed in Halloween. That these are ideas that are shockingly high-minded for what many people would probably write off as just another slasher. So the first thing that comes to mind for me when I watch it is that I would describe Halloween as almost suburban horror. And by that, I mean the kind of domestic tranquility of the fictional Haddonfield, Illinois, is just violently shocked when one monster comes to town. Or, well, one monster comes home. See, there's this thing about the suburbs that you get there and you're supposed to think nothing bad happens here, right? There's this neat little acronym, NIMBY, N-I-M-B-Y, not in my backyard. You say NIMBY, not in my backyard, when they want to build a sports stadium or some other building you don't want. And there's this element of everything is nice and neat here. We have nothing to be afraid of. There's even an allusion to it early in the film where the local town sheriff tells Dr. Loomis, listen, it's neat little houses in a row. We're going to be fine here. I don't remember the exact line, but the theme being, you think you're safe. And this just goes to show, you're not. You're never safe. Now, of course, we know, because I've talked about it about 9 times on this show, the actual statistics don't bear out that most people are going to be killed by a serial killer. Turns out it's actually quite rare. You're probably gonna live. But I think this is such a good symbol of the destruction of that sense of safety. Myers, in his way, along with, to a lesser extent, Loomis, they represent this incursion, this invasion of irrationality and violence into what seems like a normal, orderly place. They're very, very good at illustrating the fairly profound fragility that seems to only happen in these very sterile environments, in these very safe places. Any incursion seems extreme and terrible, but then when something really extreme and terrible happens, it's somehow much, much worse. Now, one thing that I will say, I think Halloween nails, and gotta level with you, I don't exactly know how it nails it, is it feels like October in the Midwest. Now, my understanding was that the film was shot in like May in California, and that it took a lot of shoehorning of a set to make it work. And there's a couple of spots where I think the appearance of Haddonfield that's created is a little wrong, but for the most part, the film feels like a Halloween night. But more important than the visual aesthetic is the music and the sound. The actual like sound effects, the Foley element of it is very old-fashioned horror. Every wall being pushed through, every person being choked is what you'd expect. But there are little moments. There's a scene where Myers kills someone by strangling them in the back or from the backseat of a car, and they slump forward onto the car horn. Something about the extended note of an old-fashioned car horn being blown for a long period of time in the middle of the night on Halloween. Especially spooky. It's really, really well done. And then, of course, man, Carpenter's scores. We've talked before at length about how much we love John Carpenter's scores on this show, but the Halloween theme is so iconically Halloween. It is so iconically a horror score. It's practically like 20th century canon at this point. It to me, it ranks right up there with Suspiria from Goblin. Their score for Suspiria is just unreal. Now, there is kind of an elephant in the room with this movie that I don't know how to address other than to address it directly. Halloween can be a little bit of a hard watch now because it is very much a time period piece. It looks very 1970s, and yeah, it should. It's from that time period. But a lot of it now almost feels banal. I mean, for a horror movie, for a slasher, it is mostly bloodless. You see a lot of on-screen violence, but it's not that bad. And I mean, even by the standards of the time, there are horror movies that are way, way more gory and way, way more out there. But there's something about Halloween that has stuck. It has this sticking quality, haunting, for lack of a better word. Some of it feels banal now, but I think that has to do with the fact that there's no slasher films without Halloween. Sure, you can say like Bava's Blood on Black Lace is beats this by years in terms of being a slasher film. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. But the impact of Michael Myers being felt on horror going forward just can't be understated at all. It really is the classic. There's a line in this movie that I'm really fond of, and it's a pretty straight, direct line, and that is, "Laurie, what's the boogeyman?" This theme of the boogeyman keeps popping up over and over throughout Halloween. And I mean, of course, yes, in a way, Michael Myers is supposed to be the boogeyman, kind of writ large. But it really, I don't know. I suspect that this archetype of the boogeyman is something very, very old and very, very human. And by that, I mean, there is a stranger in the night. You cannot make out his physical features. He is armed, and he is full of ill intent. Anywhere in the world, that is going to be scary. If you're walking down the street in Buenos Aires or in St. Louis or in Seoul, Korea, stack all three of those things together, and that's going to scare the shit out of you, even if you can't quite prove that he's armed and full of ill intent. You know what I mean? There is something about Michael Myers that I think is universal, despite being just a big, bulky guy in a bad William Shatner mask. One last thought about Carpenter's Halloween, and I've struggled with this one as well, but it's something that I think is kind of worth talking about. It's tempting when you see a movie like this to go, well, yeah, of course it was going to be a classic. It is that good. And yeah, maybe. I definitely think so. But it's tempting to say, okay, well, if not Carpenter, if not Halloween, if not 1978, it would have been any other film within that time frame, right? We'll say like 75 to 79. It would have been some film by some director that would have captured that same quality, right? Increasingly, I don't think so. There is a level of success with any piece of art. And yes, Halloween is a piece of art that is a combination of timing and the the quality of the actors and the cast involved, the artists involved, so on and so forth. It's this absolute 5-car pileup of circumstances that just have to line up just right in order for a horror movie to be that successful. Because think about it. How many horror movies have you watched in your lifetime? For myself, I don't know, conservatively hundreds. Most of them not terribly memorable. I had to remind myself years ago that I had seen Frank Henenlotter's Brain Damage, because you'd think that I'd remember seeing that, but until I was watching it, I really hadn't remembered. Oh yeah, I have seen this one actually. It's not a bad movie. It's just, compared to Halloween, not especially memorable. But I think that part of the lasting power of Halloween is that there is a je ne sais quoi to it. It is impossible to say why this thing is so effective. Is it the boogeyman thing? Is it the score? Is it the sound effects? What is it? I don't know. So that makes me want to ask you all a question. Halloween, 1978, John Carpenter. You've all seen it. So what do you think of it? Is it a classic? Is it better than Friday the 13th? I think it is, but do you think so? You should let us know what you think of John Carpenter's Halloween by reaching out to us at thefrightlabpodcast@gmail.com. We can be found on YouTube. We can be found on basically every podcasting platform at this point, I think. We are on Letterboxd for my sins. I promise to, at some point, update that list. I know I need to. We are on Discord, and we are on basically every social media platform. If you just look for The Fright Lab, we're there, and we're looking forward to hearing from you all. So it's time for me to let you go for the night because you need to go watch a scary movie. I think you should go watch Halloween, but if you disagree, pick something good. Pick something extra seasonal, if you know what I mean. And while you're pouring your favorite beverage, while you're getting ready to help the kids finish carving their jack-o'-lanterns, even though I think it's a little early in the season to carve a jack-o'-lantern, as you're helping them get off to bed and you're getting ready to scare the crap out of yourself, remember your old friends. Specifically, me, Lucas Yoakum. I write and research this whole ordeal, and Joseph Wren is our one and only producer, and we appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll talk to you all again very soon. Enjoy your Halloween season.